Hello everyone, so this is going to be the Draken guide. Not much has changed for Draken in Season 3 from Season 2. He basically only got like a change to his resets on counterattacks, which honestly doesn't do anything for him as like the counterattack build as much as people like to use it. It's very counterproductive, it doesn't do much damage, and as you'll see, in the opportune times to be doing damage, you have your cooldowns anyway. If you don't have your cooldowns, then you've played the fight poorly. So, with that being said, to go over Draken, start with the relics. I run Requiem Stone of Mercy, Special Charge Module, Convergent Energy Skill Module, and Critical Power Shield. So again, Mercy, doubles your base attack power, gives them a lot more early damage. Energy Skill Module. This is a skill-based breaker, so we want to be popping up 100% skill powers as much as possible to be getting as much damage out as possible. Special Charge Module. All of Draken's abilities hit multiple times, including Blade Shock once you get a particular upgrade, and including Sweeping Strike as well when you have a particular upgrade. So you'll get resets from this left, right, and center. Hack and Slash also resets like crazy with this. You're pretty much guaranteed at least one reset whenever you use it, if it's off cooldown, as in the Special Charge Module. Critical Power Shield. We run the Crasher Shotgun when we find it, so this is just 100% crit damage for free, and we'll be maintaining our shield via our seasonal tree plus our toy worker, and any shield relic you might find during the run can also help this if you want to be safe. Going over drop rates, I've opted for my usual sort of stuff you'll find in here. I've got Extra Power Chip for skill power, Skill Amp Mag for more skill power. This isn't too hard to maintain. You just don't fire your Crasher like crazy and just reload whenever it drops to 5 ammo. And you can reload and then use a skill, and usually it will reload whilst using a skill anyway. Critical Power Magazine, same thing, 100% crit damage. Crasher gives 100% crit chance when we fire. Crit Box, 100% crit damage. We use 25% gold tooth multiplier. This is based on distance, you're going to be pretty close to enemies anyway. Retail Suit, this is just in here honestly, like you can replace this with anything. Like personally, you should technically put something like Reactive in here instead, as cooldowns will be the biggest limiting factor of Draken, which again isn't too big of an issue thanks to things like Special Charge Module and Reactive. Bonus coin, just because of the fact, like if you find bonus coin on Planet 1 on Extreme or Planet 1 on Capital Normal, it's still a good buy. It'll end up paying for itself throughout the run, and it'll give you more money in the later planets. It's really good. Same as seasonal. I don't like switching my priority list too much, so I have this set up for those sort of situations. We've got status effect target, bleed based breaker. You'll be applying bleed, you'll get 50%, plus any reactor you find will give you an additional 50%. So this is just hands down a great multiplier to be having. And then we've got restraint. This can be finicky and annoying to play with when you're playing a Crasher build, but in a sense, you'll get around about 2 seconds of having the 100% critical chance and the 200% skill power from Restraint, due to the fact that the Crasher Shotgun's crit buff lasts around 5 to 6 seconds depending on your positive buff duration. If you have an opportunity to pick up positive buff duration on a weapon, or if you're doing seasonal in a seasonal run, this combo becomes crazy because you can actually have Crasher last around 10 seconds, which then lets you just don't have to, like, you know, worry about restraint too much, and you just get a bunch of damage for free. The sort of relics you want to avoid are critical chance, because Crasher, obviously, and anything to do with weapon power, as this is a skill-based build. Notable mentions, Exo Inner Suit, it's a great pickup. It's basically just free damage. You have a lot of skill power in this build, so this will proc pretty hard. Other things to really mention is, if you see it in the run, Charging Grease isn't terrible for seasonal, but in Extreme and Capital and Normal, you'd technically want to avoid this, as you don't have many opportunities to proc a perfect attack, unless you're putting yourself in harm's way on purpose to do so. Other cooldown relics, as mentioned, really good, as well as shield module to keep critical power shield up. Oh, and if you're doing stuff like seasonal, be sure to look out for these things like shock targets and bleed targets and poison targets, as you'll want to be picking up poison reactor and shock reactors in your run, and you'll want to be finding and you already apply bleed, sorry. So these three are huge targets to pick up as a Draken, along with boss target to scale into Giant's Neck. Going over skills, you only have really one option to start with here. well, two options depending if you're in multiplayer or single player. If you're in multiplayer, you can opt to start with the 100% skill power plus 100% critical damage on sweeping wind use. This will give you a lot more early damage in comparison to anything else, but because of the fact that this is going to be oriented towards solo, and the run you just saw was solo, I opt to start with the hack and slash upgrade that gives you defense shred. This is huge. Defense shred is a very, very important factor in any run. If you can get a defense shred ability on a breaker, 99.9% of the time you want to be taking it. Defense is just a flat percentile reduction of your damage, so if say a boss has 30% defense, you remove 100% defense, which means you're taking 30% away from them. 30% defense means you're doing 30% less damage. Other upgrades to consider and look out for are, in order of importance, so hack and slash, then you want to get this sweeping wind upgrade, and then you want to be looking for stuff like 100% skill power on blade shock use. You want to be looking for damage against bleeding targets on blade shock use, the extra explosion and pulls enemies in. This is kind of like lightning's extra projectile. This just means you're going to have more reset opportunities from your blade shock, as well as just doubling the damage of your blade shock. 100% skill power and attack speed on skill use. This is a theme with Draken. He has a lot of these just buff you by pressing button type of upgrades, so he doesn't necessarily have terrible upgrades in any category at all. So 90% of the time you can get away with just picking a skill upgrade and it will work, but your order of importance is hack and slash, sweeping wind critical damage, and the 100% skill power on uses plus the bleed target on use. And then outside of that, the other upgrades you want to be looking for are attack power on hits with sweeping wind. As you have free charges, you'll get this to free stacks really fast. Don't worry about the pull in, but this bleed duration effect and the effect that hits enemies along the path is huge. This makes your bleeds last longer, means that the bosses aren't going to immune to them as fast, and the extra damage hits that happen hit pretty hard, and also can proc special charge module, so you'll get more resets that way as well. Cooldown on any of these abilities is massive, and then last but not least, in order of importance, you want to be finding the ×2 duration and hit count and the 100% skill power on hack and slash. Hack and slash and blade shock will do the majority of your damage, with hack and slash kind of coming in front just because of the way the maintenance buffs work. You want to be using hack and slash first to put up defense shred, so hack and slash will do a lot of damage, and then blade shock will be pretty much finishing off anything that's left on the health bar. But the largest singular hit you will ever get will be from a blade shock. The counterattack upgrades, again, like I said, I don't like the counterattack stuff. Counterattacking is just, in my opinion, a waste of DPS. But if you were to pick anything because you've had bad RNG with upgrades, you would want to get the 100% skill power and inflict bleed on hit. To note here, there is no duration on this, so that means the 100% skill power is only applying to the counterattack damage and not all your damage. The extra bleed proc, though, is kind of useful for being able to forcefully detonate your bleed at the 5th stack. Extra charge doesn't matter, his counterattacks come back really fast. Cooldown doesn't matter, his counterattacks come back really fast. But that's it, really. I know that was kind of fast, but in a sense, there are no bad upgrades for Draken. Get your defense shred, get your skill power, get your crit damage, and then get anything that says 100% skill power increase, and the 2 duration hit, plus the extra hit for blade shock. Going over Toy Worker, again, I opted to use the Toy Worker High V2. Extra shield means more uptime and critical power shield. Your absolute best rolls for a Draken here will be lots of crit damage and bleed target, and then last but not least will be cooldown and skill power stuff. Boss targets wouldn't be too bad either. Anytime that you get the opportunity to, try to, so you can see here, for example, I have 0.15% skill power. These are terrible. You want to be finding the ones that are like this, where it says 30% skill power when HP is at 100% or higher. These values are just much, much higher once you get them maxed out, and will give you a lot more for your, basically, investment into your Toy Worker. It's all RNG. It's not going to be something that you can sit there and guarantee yourself to get, but if you manage to get them this way, this will be the way that you min-max and get the most damage. Thank you for watching. There's not much really to go over with Draken. He's just kind of, like, in terms of damage, broken, but due to his animation speeds, his speed running is not that fast. Despite what you might see in the leaderboards, there is a lot of exploited times right now. I've contacted the devs and let them know, and hopefully they'll be removed soon. But his damage output is really good. He's just hindered by bosses that are rendered immune to bleeds, which unfortunately Arctic Gear is one of those, and Arctic Gear is always in the pool, so your runs will slow down instantly. Basically, if you see any Draken that's below a minute in Campodella normal, you know that there's something up with that, because of the fact Arctic Gear will take you 20 to 30 seconds to kill by itself. Alright, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you guys later.